Are you ready for a series of questionable questions with Peter and Jeff from Brandartica? Your seats and tray tables should be locked and in their full upright position. This is 1/7, the podcast.
Look who's here. Dave, hi, how are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Thank you so much for coming in.
Great to see you, Peter.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 1/7 podcast. Today we've got a very special guest. We're excited to welcome Dave Kerpen, a serial entrepreneur with 7 businesses and 2 successful exits. He's a New York Times best-selling author of books like The Art of People and Likeable Social Media. And he's the co-founder and CEO of Apprentice, which connects entrepreneurs with talented college students. Dave, am I correct so far before I go on?
Yes, love it. Thank you.
Okay. You've probably seen Dave on the Today Show, CBS Early Morning Show. I've seen him in the conference room early in the morning with a cup of Dunkin Donuts coffee, but you've probably already seen him also in the New York Times. He's a LinkedIn influencer and a popular contributor to Inc.com. He's also the executive chairman of the Nursing Beat. No, not a rap group. He'll explain. An investor through Kerpen Ventures and a co-founder of Likeable Media, which they sold in 2021. Most importantly, he's the proud husband and father of 3, and we are thrilled to have Dave here today. Dave, how do you do?
I'm fantastic, and thanks for the intro, and so great to see you, Pete. I was excited to listen to your podcast with our mutual friend / colleague / former boss, Peggy Iafredi, and that was such a great blast from the past. So I'm excited to be now talking with you guys on the internet.
I appreciate it, man. So you listen, I know this, and I don't know if some of our listeners know this, and Jeff has been getting to know you over the course of time. You successfully built a career while raising a family. How do you prioritize and balance the demands of business with being a devoted husband and father? Because I know on my end, dude, it's difficult, and I have one business.
Yeah, thank you for asking that question first. And I really appreciate that you asked me, because I feel like women get that question all the time, and it's so unfair that women get it and men don't. Men get it a lot less frequently, right? It's just sort of assumed that men focus on their careers and eventually get to the families and the kids. And I've just been so fortunate to be able to prioritize, first of all, because a lot of people either can't or certainly have the perception that they can't. I think the biggest thing that I've done is really set firm boundaries around when it's time to shut off. And I'm also very, very blessed that I don't sleep a lot. So like early on in my career, when I was more grinding and like really sort of hustling, I was doing it from like 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. And obviously that wasn't really competing with my family for time and energy at that point. And now that I'm old and less and more lazy, I am further along in my career, and so I'm able to truly shut off at 3 p.m., which I do every single day, pick up my son off the bus and prioritize my family. And we have no phone time every day at dinner. That is extremely valuable to making it clear to our family that we are prioritizing them.
7 businesses. Wow. How do you, just share with us, how, what was the defining moment early on in your entrepreneurial stage that shaped your approach to business?
A lot of defining moments. And first, let me say that, 7 businesses is a lot, but as Pete sort of mentioned the 2 successful exits, but that means 5 not so successful exits or continuations, right? And I think the most important aspect of being what I would call a serial entrepreneur is really having the courage to fail and be okay with failure. And it's going to happen. And if it's those that are afraid to fail that don't jump in, or they only jump in once, and then it's sort of all or nothing on that on that one business. So for me, the first defining moment was when we got married at a baseball game, and that was very, very fortunate for us because we were able to sell sponsorships to our wedding, and one thing led to another. We had a very successful wedding because I married the love of my life on a baseball field, but we had a successful marketing event because we were able to sell sponsorships, and essentially our wedding vendors, 1-800 Flowers, who had sponsored our flowers, and Entenmann's, who had sponsored our dessert, said, "This was awesome. What are you guys doing next?" We couldn't get married again, so we started a business. That was our first business. So in a way, I was a bit of an accidental entrepreneur. I guess I had done a small consulting firm, like a solo gig beforehand, but that was my first real business. And then another really important defining moment was when I had a conversation with my wife a few years later and said, look, this is a great business. I think you can run it. I'm really excited about something else, about spinning off a software company. And again, so grateful that she gave me that space to go for it. And we built a software company that was more scalable. And honestly, that wasn't a big success. I mean, it was a success in that I raised a whole bunch of money. So I learned a lot about fundraising. And we got the company to $4 million in revenue, but we weren't actually making money. And so the thing is, with like some of these tech companies, is you can work your way towards revenue, but revenue doesn't mean sustainability and doesn't mean profits. And that company just, unfortunately, it actually still exists, but it really hasn't performed the way I would have wanted it to. And I stepped away, but that was an important defining moment as well, Jeff, because it's like, okay, I had a really big success, great. How can I duplicate that? But also, I had maybe something that wasn't such a big success. And by the way, I'm still here. I'm still kicking. Heart didn't stop beating. Everything's okay. The sun still came up the next day. And that is a defining moment because it tells me, oh, well, shit, you can do something else. And maybe you'll succeed and maybe you'll fail. But again, the sun will keep rising. And that's the thing that people get so in their heads about, with fear about taking those risks, about going for the home runs, about starting that new business, etc. And that's what stops people. Whereas I'm almost like grateful for the failure because it reminded me that like the sun's going to keep coming up and I can try new things.
You talked a lot. I remember you talking a lot about gratitude and a gratitude, mindset. And what's kind of a daily habit for you or a mind shift set that was critical in your growing, both personally and professionally? Was it gratitude based, or was there something else?
I could fill all your time with gratitude, and I just might right now. So let me say, first of all, it's funny, you mentioned my first book, Likeable Social Media, and that continues to be my best-selling book. And then you mentioned my newest book, Get Over Yourself. Well, not my name, but you mentioned it. But the ironic thing is, the gratitude came from my second book, which is by far my worst-selling book of all time. It's a book called Likeable Business. And the major lesson from this was that everyone judged a book by its cover. It turns out it has a really lousy cover and a really lousy title, and no one bought the book. I mean, I'm not kidding when I say like it's almost like hard to find the book in print anywhere. But for that book, I interviewed over 200 CEOs, successful CEOs, and I asked them a lot about their habits. And I was startled to learn that what I found most in common of the CEOs I talked to for that book, guys, was their gratitude practices. And I was like, holy cow, it just seemed sort of counterintuitive. I'm like, I always thought gratitude was something you do after you're successful, not like to become successful. But the more I dug into it, I realized that people have it backwards. People think that they work their ass off, they become successful, and then they can be happy, and then they can be grateful. And ironically, the opposite is true. When we are grateful, it makes us happier. And when we are happier, we become more productive and contagious in our enthusiasm. And, oh, wow, we end up successful. So I'm all in on gratitude. I write thank you cards. My family practices gratitude every single day at dinner. We all go around the table and everyone says one person that they're grateful for in the family and one person that they're grateful for who's not at the table, and our favorite moment of the day. It solves a bunch of problems, including the fact that, a lot of families don't really talk at dinner time. But more important, it's taught my kids the value of gratitude. and I'll share. I will share an absolute life highlight, and it's the first time I've ever shared it on a podcast. You're getting it.
Oh, we've got an exclusive.
It's an exclusive. True life highlight. My kids fought me hard. We started the daily gratitude practice 12 years ago, and they fought me pretty hard on it. I had a 12-year-old daughter and an 8-year-old daughter. No, sorry, I had a 9-year-old daughter and a 5-year-old daughter at the time. And they were like, yeah, do we really have to do this every day? And they really fought me hard, but we did it every single day. And it just became a true daily practice. Well, now my daughter Charlotte, my oldest, is a senior in college. And life highlight was last year, she called me right after dinner, and she goes, Dad, I didn't tell you this, but I feel like I really should. My roommates and I, we do grateful and favorite moment every day at the dinner table. And I was like, what? Like, he had integrated this practice with a bunch of freaking college kids. And it just, I mean, I couldn't have been, and I'm not, couldn't possibly be prouder of the fact that that is something that I was able to, like, basically teach my kid, and that she was actually integrating as a adult, pseudo adult. So yeah, I mean, I think it has really, really made me a much more grounded, open, happier person. So I am all in on gratitude.
We are almost out of time. I want to make sure we get to the second half, but chooseapprentice.com. Tell us a little bit about that.
Choose Apprentice. So with my first business, with Likeable, we were able to scale thanks in great part to college students. Early on, we had this marketing firm, and we started suddenly got all these clients, and we're like, how the hell are we going to service all these clients? We don't want to work all the time. So I was able to hire college students to do a lot of the work. And at one point, we had 60 college students working for us and only 10 full-time staff. And it was amazing to scale. So amazing that I rinsed and repeated with a few other businesses along the way. Well, 4 years ago, I had a young man that was working for me for a couple of years while he was in school. He came to me and said, Dave, I've been working for you for a couple of years. I've learned more from you than I learned in college that I paid $150,000 for. And I feel like I've done really good work for you too. And I was like, yeah, you have. And he goes, is there a business here like doing what you've been doing with college students, but for other entrepreneurs? And I was like, yeah, damn straight there is. Let's go. And that was the beginning of Apprentice. And 2 years later, this kid, I made him CEO. And then 2 years later, at the age of 23, he had $1 million business. So huge hat tip to him. Fast forward a couple more years, things went a little sideways with our relationship. I ended up sort of buying him out. But again, wonderful lesson learned. And now my daughter Charlotte, who I mentioned earlier, has really taken over in the chief operating officer role of the company. And now I'm able to not only teach her business, but eventually maybe build the business around her, so that again I can be lazy and spend time with my other kids and go on podcasts like this. And I'm really proud of the work that she and the team is doing. We have hundreds of college students all over the country from top schools that we put in a variety of roles: marketing, biz dev, operations, and data and analytics for our clients all over the country. So yeah, chooseapprentice.com if anyone's listening that we can be helpful for. Thanks for asking.
Yeah. So if you could be an apprentice to anyone, who would it be and why?
Can I add a caveat? They don't have to. They can be fictional. They can be non-fictional. They can be alive. They can be dead. Who is it?
Great caveat. That being said, I'm gonna go with real and alive, because sometimes when you put things out into the universe, they can happen, but they couldn't happen with somebody that's dead or fictional. So I would be an apprentice for Oprah. She more than anyone has truly come from nothing to build really the most amazing legacy Her impact is tremendous. Her brand is tremendous. She has done so much good for so many people, and has also, of course, made a boatload of money. But more important, her impact has been absolutely tremendous. And yeah, I would be her apprentice.
And you know what's funny is consistently the name that never comes up on that question is Nero. Nobody ever says, I would love to be Nero's apprentice. It never comes up.
Sure.
I don't know why. No, I think I know why. All right, so Dave, and I'm not sure where you're at these days. I know I'm still in the same sort of clutter zone that I've always been in. I think it's who I am. But at the end of a busy day, is there an array of empty cups and drink containers on your desk? What are they?
Well, there you go, Dunks.
It's Dunkin'. Always and forever. Always and forever. My love of Dunkin' Donuts. And, it's funny. I went on a podcast a couple months ago with this, environmentalist. And he, challenged me to, do better things for the environment. And I felt really bad. I did say, yes, I'm going to try.
Yep.
And that lasted a couple weeks. And then I went back. I mean, these are giant. I know this is audio only, but for those of you listening, I will describe them. They are giant Dunkin' Donuts cups that I am holding in my hand. There are two of them, and yes, they are both from today.
Those are like Beyond Venti, right? That's what it is. Beyond Venti X.
The big one, is that what they call it?
I think they stopped that because I think there was a bit of a connotation of
Yes.
a little. I think
that's
it's just the standard XL. Yeah, it looks like XL. But yes, I do. Yeah, I've been with Dunkin'. I've been, we're in a relationship, and I've been with Dunkin' for enough years to remember the big one.
That's right. I remember when you started that relationship.
Okay, so least favorite holiday, Dave, and why?
Least favorite. Ooh, okay.
Least favorite.
Good. I'm gonna sound freaking un-American when I say I think it's July 4th. I have a couple reasons why. First of all, I know they're gonna sound like a weird nerd, but people incorrectly call the holiday July 4th. It's Independence Day.
Correct.
But they call it, what is there any other holiday that people identify by the date instead of the actual holiday? I think that's weird.
Yeah.
Also the fireworks. There's so many fireworks, so many days before and after. It just confuses me. I'm a proud American. Please don't get me wrong, but I've never really gotten the hype of Independence Day.
Dave, you're not alone. You're not alone. I agree. We live in New Hampshire, and where I live in New Hampshire, a bit of 20 minutes in from the coast, in New Hampshire, 4th of July starts in May, and it goes straight through to mid-October. And then there's a couple of extra days floating around where people, what my issue with 4th of July is, I get it. If you want to set off fireworks, which I am not a fan, I don't really care for it. It just unnerves me. But if you're setting them off in the middle of the day, what the fuck? What the fuck? That's not fireworks. You're just blowing shit up. Parting thoughts, insights, anything else you want people to know about you, and where they can find out more about you.
Complimentary pro bono office hours every Thursday afternoon. I've been doing this for 12 years now, and I just get a great kick out of meeting people and helping them. So there's absolutely no strings attached. You can go to scheduledave.com to schedule that time if anyone's listening and wants to chat more. And then, of course, with the Amazon and the bookstores everywhere and the LinkedIn and all this stuff and the chooseapprentice.com. But really, I think the biggest plug is if I can be helpful to you in any way, book some time with me. And I really get a kick out of it. I enjoy it very much. And I'm super grateful to you guys for having me on. Thank you. And I'll be thanking you tonight at my dinner table.
Thanks for coming on, Dave. Hey, thanks for listening to the show today. We had a great time. Hope you have a good time listening. If you heard anything that you want to ask more questions about, please feel free to drop us a note. You can always visit 7theword.com to find out more about our show. Don't forget to follow us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Smash the like button, leave a comment, and please give us a review. Or at least 5 stars, something